We're in the Northwest Territories, our 9th stop during our 150-day road trip across Canada. Covering over 1 million square kilometers with the population of a small town, the Northwest Territories is about as wild as it gets. With boreal forests, Arctic tundra, some of Canada's best waterfalls, a vibrant Aboriginal culture and boundless wilderness, the Northwest Territories is an adventurer's paradise.
We started our visit in Yellowknife, the Northwest Territories' capital city. Here we toured the Prince of Wales Northern Heritage Centre, where we learned about the territory's rich Aboriginal culture, the infamous story of the mad trapper, the territory's wildlife and ecology, and the history of the Musqueam boat, an incredible work of human ingenuity.
Afterwards, we tried some delicious local food and then walked up to the Bush Pilots Monument for incredible views over Yellowknife and the surrounding area. Next up on the adventure was taking a float plane to Yellow Dog Lodge, which is located between two beautiful lakes. This was our first time on a float plane, and it was incredible to look down at all the wild scenery before landing on Graham Lake for 3 nights of secluded paradise.
As soon as we arrived, we jumped in a boat and went fishing for lake trout, and it didn't take us long to catch our dinner. In fact, I caught my first fish. It was so exciting to feel the fight of the fish, but I was so surprised by how hard it was to reel it in. Our days were filled exploring the lakes, fishing, hiking to beautiful lookout points, and jumping into the lake. And our nights were equally incredible. We went to a secluded island and sat next to a campfire while mingling with our new friends from around the world. We also spent some time in a hot tub, heated by wood fire while relaxing under the stars.
But perhaps our most memorable experience was being able to spend the night on a floating barge. Powered by a motor, we drove the boat to a calm bay, anchored down, and spent the night alone in wilderness surrounded by complete silence, an experience we'll never forget. The next morning, we flew back to Yellowknife and made our way to Alexandra Falls, one of the highest waterfalls in the Northwest Territories. It was amazing to stand right on the edge of the waterfall and watch the water drop 32 meters below us. Then, not too far downstream was Louise Falls, another incredible waterfall with a distinct square-like pattern that made it look almost unnatural. Next, we drove to Fort Simpson, where we took another float plane to tour Nahanni National Park. Words cannot describe the beauty we saw in the world's first UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The Nahanni encompasses territory that's found nowhere else in the world. It's like going to see Banff and Jasper, the Columbia Icefields, Yellowstone, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, and Niagara Falls all in one. So you have the whole area to yourself when you want to go someplace or get out on the river by boat or go flying back in the mountains. There's nobody else there.
It was absolutely jaw-dropping to look down at deep canyons, a series of plateaus, sharp mountain peaks, hot springs, and valleys intertwined with snaking rivers and turquoise-colored lakes. We also landed a few times, which gave us the opportunity to visit Virginia Falls, an amazing 315-foot waterfall on the South Nahanni River. Nahanni National Park is truly one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. Next, we wanted to visit Canada's Western Arctic, so we drove through the Yukon, up the Dempster Highway, past the Arctic Circle, and into the little town of Inuvik. This was our first time in the Arctic, and it was such a special experience to meet the locals and visit the local attractions, such as the Igloo Church and the community greenhouse. We also visited the Western Arctic Regional Visitor Center and learned about the local Inuvialuit and Gwich'in people.
Many people can enjoy, especially in our part of the world, the fresh air, the fresh water that we have out there, and a lot of unspoiled and untouched lands. It's a big world out there, and you've got to share it. Nothing is really owned by anybody.
Everyone was so excited to show us around, and one local even brought us out on his boat to experience the MacKenzie Delta. We navigated through narrow channels, saw beavers gathering sticks for their dam, and a massive eagle that decided to lead the way. We also did some fishing for northern pike and saw a flock of tundra swans congregating in the nearby lake.
Last but not least, we couldn't leave the Northwest Territories without seeing the Arctic Ocean, so we drove the Mackenzie Valley Highway to Tuktoyaktuk, the first highway in Canada to reach the Arctic Ocean. Surrounded by pingos, tundra, and ocean, Tuktoyaktuk is a charming Inuvialuit hamlet that we loved exploring. We learned about some of the local culture, tried some local foods, wore traditional clothing, and of course, dip our toes in the Arctic Ocean. We even climbed one of the pingos for views of the surrounding area. We're so grateful that we had the opportunity to visit Canada's Western Arctic and learn about a part of Canada that most people know nothing about. It really felt that we had reached the top of the world. From sleeping in a floating barge on a secluded lake, to flying over the world's first World Heritage Site, to taking a dip in the Arctic Ocean, the Northwest Territories has given us memories that we will cherish for a lifetime. Thank you so much for watching this episode.
To learn more about what we did in the Northwest Territories, as well as other provinces during our 150-day road trip across Canada, visit mustdocanada.com.